ZYG808. Yeah. There's three types in the music business: pimps, hoes, or hustlers. And it's pretty easy telling one from the other. Boy, you not a pimp, and you definitely not no hustler. Since you know where you stand, you should understand why I'm using your ass as a projectile. You say you fine.
My MC tradition traces back to the griots. Follow my story, you'll know the deal. Dropping knowledge on shit, you go higher. In the fire. It's been a while since I hit a freestyle. Ain't no pad, ain't no.
Good afternoon. I am your host, Miss TML. You are now tuned in. Real Talk with TML, Up North City Girls. We have a very special guest with us today. He goes by ZYG808. And I just want to say that this is, a heartfelt moment for me because I've watched him grow as a man, from a boy to a man, but also from an artist to a teacher. And I think that's something to, give praise to, because at your age, you are doing some things that are so amazing that people your age haven't even gotten the opportunity to do. So I just want to say welcome first. And I just want to give you your flowers because, for one, you was early today. And that tells me a lot about your passion and your commitment, and about your dedication to your craft and how serious you take this platform. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you for that, because again, I told you, this is like so heartfelt because you showed up early. You was here 10 minutes early. And so we were able to start. I have artists that haven't showed up at all. And they don't even know the half of what this platform is for and what I try to bring to the artists. So I just want to say I appreciate you today, and thank you for being a great professional.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. So I know a lot about you. And that just comes from our past, our bond together, and watching, what you've done. It's amazing because, again, I met you when you first were just learning music, and to now see where you are today, Zig, is like, it's just amazing. And to be taught, by someone who I was taught by, which was your dad, is just something that I feel resonates with me, and I see so much of him in you. And it's just amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see. So I'm excited.
Even the fact that I'm giving this interview from the car right now, because that man always be in the car.
Yes. Yes.
Like, look through his TikTok. Every video you see, he is in the car or getting in or out of the car.
Like, listen, I remember the last time we were together in the car, and you were young, and you were just like, I'm like amazed to see you driving right now. Like, I'm like, wow. I told you, you're making me feel old. So tell the people who you are. I know, but I want, the platform and the listeners and the people that are tuning in to know who ZYG808 is and what gave you, the notion to go with that name.
Well, who is ZYG808? Well, ZYG808 is a 21-year-old who lives on Cape Cod and does a bunch of music stuff. Started on the drums, and that's kind of where the 808 actually comes from, because 808, like the drum machine, right? For the longest time, I was just going by the ZYG.
Right.
Before I even picked up the microphone, I was going by the ZYG. And when I was busking one day in Boston Common, that was when the 808 came from, because somebody came by, threw a tip in my bucket, and was like, "You're like a human 808 on those drums."
Ah!
Yeah. So that's where 808 came from. That's where 808 came from, was the human 808.
And it's crazy because, you know, Kanye uses that term, the 808.
808,
And
I've
I've
got
been,
Mafia also, the producer group.
yeah. And that's so crazy because, like, people don't understand the level of what that means and how vibration is so important to what you're doing in music and producing and composing music. To be on that 808 vibration is real. It's something that resonates with people. It's something that you create that hones in on people's chakra. So to have that is real, you know, like that is something that you are being organic in your sound and your creativity. So shout out to you for that.
Want to go real deep for a second? Because it goes even deep. Because I first started studying the 120 actually at 13. Pops started giving me the lessons at that age.
Mm-hmm.
So for those not familiar with the 120, within the 120, one of the lessons is the supreme mathematics. That's
yes,
one of the first things that you learn. So it assigns a meaning to every digit from 1 to 0. And it's very important the 0 is put at the end of it. And also it's 0, not 10. Very important also.
Yeah.
So 808. Now let's look at the individual digits and what the mathematics prescribes for them, right? So 8, the number 8 is called build destroy. That's what's assigned to number 8. That's because of the shape, it being 2 loops that feed into each other. Much like how in order to build, first you need to destroy.
That's right.
Putting a building up, you gotta break the ground first, then you pour the foundation.
That's right.
Or even before you're even building, even before you're even putting the actual building together, it's like breaking off the rough and superfluous parts of the stone. Getting some Freemasonry in there too. Ha 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 ha. So that's build destroy. Notice there are two of them. There's 2 of them in 808. It's two-sided.
Yeah.
And that's a funny thing. 8 is one of the 3 digits that carries a duality to it. But so there's build destroy on both sides of a cipher. That's 0.
Yeah.
0 at the end. Cipher, that's circles, complete circles, completion of the 360 degrees of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Yeah.
So basically,
I'm so proud of you.
So here's the conclusion, right? So it's 808 is protecting your cipher on both sides, destroying the negativity and building the positive.
Mm-hmm.
That's one that I've thrown at people because there was this one guy out in Hyannis. I think his name was Neil. I've run into him a couple of times. He's one of the people who's in the arts community. And he saw my name and he's just like, ZYG808. And I first told him, I'm like, yeah, like the drum machine. And then he came back and found me later. And he's just like, all right, man, you got to spill the beans. I know it's not just the drum machine. And I'm like, all right, Neil, here's some math, my brother.
Yeah.
And it's like to this day, other people who know me and have met Neil, like my friend, shout out Anastasia real quick, because Anastasia had Neil come in to Cordial one day and mentioned that we had that chat and that struck a chord with him.
Wow. And that brings, so much recognition to people who vibe on that 808 vibe. And it brings people to you, it draws people to you. It's magnetic, in a sense. So I think the name choice fits you. And you're wearing it so well. It's just again, because I know you personally, I feel like you've grown into the man you are meant to be. And that is important to have that foundation at such a young age. You know what I'm saying? Is that you already kind of have your life destined for you. And I think it just runs in your blood. I think that's important to recognize too, is that, a lot of your influence comes from your family and from your dad. You know what I mean? So that is important because I think that plays a big part in why you have this music education that you do, So I always want to shout out Mr. Funky Professor because he is amazing and he's amazing. Yeah. And what he's developed in you, you know, like that to me, to see this, like, you know, again, he was my mentor, he was my teacher, and to see now his offspring being him in this modern day is so surreal. So again, but it's like you have your own way, you have your own rhythm, and you've learned how to own it and be your true self. And that's important, I think. You know, I think that a lot of artists are still being developed in their early stages, you know, when they first come out and they're young and whatever. But I think you already kind of know where you're going with your music. And that's important, you know, is you're being an educator, you're being a philosopher, like you're taking things, you know, in you know, projectile. Let's talk about that. That song. I wasn't ready. Like,
talk about that song.
Tell me what brought that song about.
All right, so a lot of my music in general, especially the stuff that I'm gonna be, you know, releasing sooner, like this next album I have coming, and then the stuff I have after that, it ends up a lot of times kind of just being a product of me picking a key and just noodling. So that was like how Projectile came, because the beat came first.
Mm-hmm.
The beat came first. I made the beat, and then it was while I was carving out an actual arrangement for the beat where I was just like, okay, I know I'm gonna keep this one for myself, and I know exactly what I'm gonna talk about on it. Because in a lot of my when I'm making beats and stuff like that, what I'll do is I'll save the session file as just something random, so I know what it is. And you can ask anybody who knows me, some of the working titles for my stuff might possibly even get me canceled. But this was, you know, the working title was Projectile. The automatic thing that comes up when you save a session file in Logic is project. So I just wrote ILE at the end of it, right? When I hit save on it. So then later on I came back, and then the hook was the first thing that came to me, and I didn't even bother writing it down first. I just picked up the mic and just went right in. So like the hook first came, and I was just like, using it as a projectile, and the rest of the song kind of just wrote itself, because like this was during the time when I first wrote that song, this was like the beginning of my actually properly waking up to certain things, because I was aware of a lot of stuff, but but like around, like, you know, 2020, around when I'm about to graduate high school, and when the rest of the population is starting to wake up to certain things, I'm on one hand, you know, coming to realizations that I hadn't even considered before, but on the other hand, I'm just like, wow, there's like let me find the way that I want to phrase this. Hold on.
Yeah.
People really don't know shit. in a lot of cases. That's
Wait,
like,
say that again.
Remarkable. People really don't know shit.
Yeah. Why you sound like your dad?
You know, it's probably,
you know,
because I grew up just basically hearing my dad on the phone all the time and in the interviews, and what gets everybody is when I'll sometimes break into the announcer voice that he does.
Yeah.
Like, he heard me do that one time, and he's like, "Wow, I do that a lot." I've been hearing that voice since I could first hear.
He is so theatrical. That's just in him, and I see it in you now. Like, even with your TikToks and like everything, I'm like, oh my God, he found his clone. Like, it is so just amazing to me, you know, because that's a gift. I feel like that was the earth, you know, like the universe giving him a gift to see himself in a younger version. I think any parent that gets to witness that it's a gift to them, you know.
We scare a lot of people actually with that. they're like, because I can have Pops tell you about the like parent teacher conferences we've been to. I think in this one that I'm thinking of, I was in 8th grade. We were meeting with I don't even remember what title it was, some kind of liaison that I had because of my IEP thing that I was on. So we're in the liaison meeting, and it's like the liaison and a couple of my teachers who are talking to me and my dad and noticing that he and I have the same mannerisms.
Everything. It's scary.
Folding our arms, and even down to folding our arms in the same way and making the same gestures while we're thinking.
Yeah.
That's you see, here's the beans spilled, right? You combine the fact that, you know, my dad thinks in skits. Here's the big reveal. My dad thinks in skits. That's how his brain works. Everything is a skit in a script, right? So you combine the fact that it's like, you know, that's the main person who's raising me.
Yeah.
With the fact that, I mean, I live in America, which was founded upon the ridiculous. You know, this is an unserious country, and if you disagree, then you just don't have eyes. And you combine the parent who thinks in skits with. I noticed a thing with like my mom is when she talks, she's kind of like an after-school special. It's an interesting thing that I noticed. Shout out, Mom.
Oh, Mom.
Shout out, Mom, our favorite after-school special host. She has that kind of delivery, and it's especially the most effective when you're trying to talk to kids, especially about like.
Oh yeah, don't do this, don't do that.
Wait a minute. But yeah, so it's like you combine these two things. So now it's like the only possible result that you can get if you combine these two people is the super theatrical artsy type who ends up kind of thinking in skits, but the skits are also a bit more essay-ish. Because that's the thing that I've noticed when watching back and editing my TikToks. I'm like, because you think about it, it's like it's always thesis statement, body paragraphs, which basically include a bunch of either unhinged jokes or reflections of reality that just make us all feel bad.
Very detailed in a matter-of-fact way.
Yes. And then the conclusion, which at this point is just plugging whatever song I have out right now.
And it's magical to see you do that again, because like, you know, talking to your dad and trying to figure out, you know, just the artist development side and, you know, where you were going as an artist and what, you know, your whole vision was, you know, was something that, you know, it was like, okay, is he going to be able to sustain the TikTok and the, you know, those type of things? And when I started seeing you do that and get into like really like doing skits and doing, you know, different things for TikTok and building your account on TikTok, I was like, Zig got it. He got it. Like, he understands and he's meant for this generation. And it's just beautiful to see it again. I'm so proud of you. You know, like that is something that I can honestly say, you know, from the bottom of my heart, it was just heartfelt because I was like, it's like when you have so much knowledge and understanding and wisdom that you have, and to be in this music business and still be able to still be yourself and not lose yourself in this commercialized gimmick that they put out that you're supposed to be, like, this was where I knew that you had something special and you are something special. So shout out to you.
Appreciate you.
Yes. Like, and again, like, it's hard for me because I tell people, I know so many talented artists. And you're one of the ones that I put on those pedestals because you've been nominated multiple times for a Grammy. These are things that you're so humble and you were so young, getting that recognition and getting that praise, and just being a multi-talented artist, is composer. You know how to play real live instruments. Like, let's not forget those things. Like, these artists nowadays, they don't even understand that, or even producers. All they've ever had to, work with was a computer. They've never been on an 808. They've never, done any of those type of things that you've done. And that's what I think what makes you a master, a person who can actually teach and guide the next, generation in the right direction. So how do you feel having that pressure on you right now?
Crazy thing is, it doesn't even feel like pressure. I know that sounded conceited, super conceited. That's not even how I mean that. I'm like, because everything that I'm doing now, pressure or not, is basically just what I've seen myself doing forever.
Mm-hmm.
And what everything I'm doing right now is, in some way or another, what I've been wanting to do since like 12, 13, really.
Right.
So it doesn't even really feel like pressure. It kind of just feels like I'm checking things off the list.
Yeah.
Checking things off the list.
So tell me, what on your list, who would you like to most collab with? It could be industry or non-industry. You can give me one of each.
Okay. All right. See, I'm thinking because, like, I have a bunch of. One thing is, I have a bunch of homies who I'm overdue for collabs with right now. So, like, we got like the homie JC, who I have to do a song with because I just did a show with him and I'm bringing him for the rest of my tour. So we'll have time to do that. Jordan De Silva is another one who's like one of the homies who I gotta do a song with. Grass Stack, we got one in the works that we've been like trying to get. And like industry people, it's hard to narrow down one, like, because like I got.
Give me at least 2 or 3. How about that? Your top 3.
Yeah, top 3. All right, so 2 I can name definitely: Kendrick and Burna Boy.
Okay.
And
I can see those.
And I'm gonna throw a super curveball and say Bastille.
Say that again.
Bastille. They're a band from England.
Bastille. Okay.
Yeah.
See, you put me on. Like, your music, you're just very eclectic when it comes to music and sound, and that's what I hear. Like, and even hearing you rap like trap music, but also having your own style to it, like, because that's what I felt like I was feeling in a couple of the songs that I heard, and I was like, but he's making it his own. You know what I mean? And I think that's something that you've learned to do in your own way to keep up with, what today is expecting to hear. You know what I mean? Like, that's important because you got to kind of be on that vibration in order to get into a certain realm of people. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, well, see, making music is also one of the ways that you can learn how to effectively psyop people, and yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there because I'm not gonna give away too much at this juncture. I'm just saying, we are learning. We here at ZYG Incorporated are perfecting our psyop machine, and we will get back to you at some point with our results and what we have created here.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like you are incorporated. You have, you're a business owner. We have the studio, Polyphonic Studios. We have also publishing. Yep. Downstreeter as well. That is important. I don't think people understand how important it is to have publishing and to understand what publishing really means as an artist. So can you talk about that a little bit and how that's helped you to, grow as an artist? Because I think that's one of the things that people miss, is the behind the scenes.
The big thing with publishing, that's how you make sure that you own your stuff, and also how you make sure that you get paid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's, registering with a PRO like ASCAP or BMI. That's literally, that's how you get publishing. And the thing is, you want to make sure you register as both a publisher and as an author. Mm-hmm. You want to do both of those things if you're releasing music. Yeah. Another thing they don't tell you about actually is going to Library of Congress, purchasing copyrights for your stuff. Yep.
Absolutely.
I think there's another way to do it with that sealing an envelope with something in it.
Yeah, and you write it and you send it to yourself, the copyright.
Yeah.
But these are the things that people need to know, that they don't know. And artists don't know, this even at 40, they don't know this. You know what I mean? And this at 21. Right. Like, kudos. Shout out to your mentors. Shout out to everybody who has, helped you in this journey. Say that again.
The bit here, like, I'm gonna say here are the 5 like really, actually not. Let's be fair and say. So first one is Pops. That that's the obvious one.
Yep.
Then we have Eddie Ray Johnson.
Eddie
Ray Johnson. Chris Hill from Mashpee High. Miss Hill. Lindsay Sherman. Andy Troyanos, and let's see, Martin Vasquez.
Wow.
And JJ Knight. JJ Knight. Those are the 7 big shout outs.
7. The big 7. The big 7 that made the 808.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny you said big 7 because that's one of my favorite songs right now. Actually.
Wow. So tell me, if you could open a show for anybody, who would it be?
I think top of the list, I'd definitely say Burna Boy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've become like just more and more of like a connoisseur of his music over the past 3 years. It's been
really.
I got really into listening to Afrobeats when I first started college.
Mm-hmm.
Around when I first started DJing.
Yeah.
So then I ended up just finding a whole bunch of. I started off with Wizkid, then I ended up finding some Burna Boy, CK, and Joe Boy stuff, and that populates like a large portion of my DJ set now, actually.
So you're definitely an Afrobeats DJ. And again, my thing is with you is that you've been on big stages. You're opening up big shows. You're on Uncommon stage this summer. That's big. You played at the Jazz Festival this summer. Shout out to you guys for that. That's big. That's huge. So what is that feeling like for you?
I mean, it's a combination of feeling surreal, but also like this is supposed to happen. This is what's supposed to happen. Most of the experiences that I'm having at this point it's a combination of this feels surreal, but at the same time, I'm supposed to be here right now.
Yeah. look at how hard you've worked. I mean, you guys have been, serious. I mean, as far as a group, as far as the GroovaLottos, as far as, going from that to now being your own artist, and it's been over the course of, I would say, 10 years that you've really been on stages, and now where people now recognize you and probably are like, wow, you've really grown since being the little boy, playing the drums to now being the artist and the DJ and everything. So what is that like?
Well, it's kind of, in some situations, it's an interesting thing because it's kind of, in some situations, more like I'm just going to a family reunion of a bunch of, you know what I mean? Because of the fact that, there's so many people who, like you, who watched me grow up and even who saw me when I was 11 and just playing drums and nothing else. And they see what I'm doing now. They're just like, wow.
Wow.
Or people who saw me when I first started rapping, when I was 13, before my first album, which I've honestly grown to hate. We can talk about that in a little bit. Before, and any of this talk about even like flipping, when it was just me and JJ in my dad's basement borrowing his stuff. To SoundCloud tracks. People who have like seen that and are now watching as I'm putting curricula together and putting all these classes together and like now getting all these collabs with other people. They're seeing the progression and are basically they're understanding also why I didn't just quit. They're understanding why I'm just still out here like,
this is me.
Yeah. And the thing is, I've even just in the past couple years started to actually really come into what I feel like I can call actual confidence in myself.
Yeah, because you started taking your shirt off. You was doing things that I was like, whoa, Zig, hold up. Wait a minute. Hold on. Stop the press. Wait a minute. Listen, I'm not ready for this. I told you that. I don't think I'm ready for this. Like,
I wasn't even sure if shirtless Zig was gonna come up in this conversation, but since shirtless Zig has come up in this conversation, we will talk about Zig's journey to finding body positivity and that kind of relationship. Because I was a chubby kid, right?
Yeah, I wanted to say that. Like, you're the baby, the chubby, like, it's not there anymore. Like, I'm like, is he vegan now? Like, now I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, what is it? I'm like, is it just he's just on the go? He decided, to take his lifestyle change.
I will drop the secret in just a few moments, but here's basically it's the funny thing, right? So it was a whole process. Me like, being able to like be comfortable in myself to the point where I can, throw my shirt off in during this live show. Because like I started college, I'm basically still dealing with body dysmorphia, right? Yeah. Because that was a real problem for me. That was a real problem for me. I didn't really talk about that. Right. But, like, that was an issue, especially because like dealing with like how they treat the chubby kid in middle school. Yeah. That's why it's like you have to become funny or something. It's like I lucked out and at least I got a nice face. Right. Because if I didn't, oh my God. Imagine if I was imagine if my face was fucked on top of it. I'd have been cooked. I'd have been absolutely cooked. But the thing
you was a cute chubby boy.
Exactly. So we come to, it was actually kind of around this time last year. It was around, I went up to Vermont to see my friend because it was their birthday. They were turning 19 that year. And that day we all went out, got food, saw this circus performance. Then we went night swimming. When we came back from night swimming, or when we were about to go night swimming, actually, it was me, my friend's partner, and a couple of our other buddies. My friend had their outfit from the day still on, and my friend's mom was like, "Oh, I want to get a picture of you." And I happened to be standing right there, and then my friend looks at me and she's like, "Get in it." So I didn't have a shirt on in this photo, so I get in the photo, and then I see the photo like 2 weeks later, fly. So then it's like a week after this photo's taken, I was when I did a show with Bars Over Bars out in Provincetown.
Yeah.
And that show was the first time that I ever took my shirt off for a performance. And
wow.
Yeah, went crazy. And also danced with this girl who was wearing a pretty white dress. This was after she poked at one of my nipples.
Oh my god.
That was wild as shit. Wild thing. Because it's like, so it's like that was, the beginning of like me starting to get over my body dysmorphia, because like at the same time I was, starting to lose weight. And the thing was, it's only recently that I've like actually gotten onto a system in terms of, health stuff. Because
right.
Before, I wasn't going about it the right way, because it was just like, oh, maybe I'll eat, maybe I'll not. But
right.
See, now I just do intermittent fasting. And that's that's helped me like slim out more, and that's also helped with staying awake and things like that. So the hours I follow, I actually got this from this guy on Instagram and TikTok named Shadi Akli, right? He said from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. is time for eating and digestion. From 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. is time for assimilation and absorption. And then from 4 a.m. until noon is time for elimination and cleansing. Right? So if it's outside of that noon to 8 window, you just have some water or juice, right? After 8 o'clock, I only have beverages. And then before like noon, if I eat anything, it's fruit. Yeah.
That's a good system. Okay.
Yeah.
I might have to try that. That sounds like a interesting system. I think I can make it to 12 o'clock. I'm a breakfast person. I'm definitely a breakfast person. So it's hard for me to skip breakfast. I just feel like I need that fuel, but then there's some mornings I don't, so
yeah.
It all depends.
The thing is, even with breakfast, it's just have a fruit plate. Like get some strawberries, get some grapes, or get an apple or something. Or have some
okay. I like it. All right. Zig, you're full of knowledge and wisdom, and I just love it. I love that about you. What would you be doing right now if it wasn't music? If there was anything that you could do or you would want to do?
I'm trying to think. I think about that a lot, actually. I feel like if I wasn't, I would probably be doing something in tech, law, or spirituality, possibly.
Yeah. Oh, those are three.
Those are like the three.
But I feel like you do that. I feel like you do that in some way now still, because music can be tech. I mean, this is what music is becoming, a tech world. You know what I mean? So it's like you've learned to grasp that. The lawyer part, I think that, that comes with wisdom and just reading and the knowledge that you drop in your music is somewhat of a lawyer or an author or a person who has that credential or wisdom. And the third thing, a healer and spiritual, I see that. That's something I think that you're gonna hone in on in the next 10 years. You know what I'm saying? And really get into that spirituality part of you, because I think there's something that you have that's very spiritual in your music and your sound. So I could see all those things, definitely.
So basically, so now here's another secret, because we're being generous today. So
and because it's TML, that's why.
Well, yeah. You get like special info because you got to watch the progression. So now you're seeing conclusions of the things that you got to watch start.
Yeah.
Like, here's basically the key to understanding what my next 3 albums especially will be.
Mm-hmm.
They're ultimately, there are 2 sides to the human that is Zig, like outside of music. Ultimately, right? There's the political, and political is put in quotes for a very, very specific reason, and there's the spiritual being, the God body, if you will. Mm-hmm. There's the God body and the pundit. Those are the best words to use to understand the 2 sides of Zig: the God body and the pundit.
Okay.
So basically, like build destroy, it is the raw God body understanding the nature of pundit-ishness, if you will.
Okay.
And then the next 2, because I have the next 3 albums after Build Destroy pretty much planned out already.
Okay.
Right?
So when is Build and Destroy going to be released?
The 21st of this month, a week and a half from today.
And 808 is symbolic to that as well. Because the 8 represents Build and Destroy. So
exactly, yes.
I go in there.
And since the album is almost out and 3 of the songs from it are out, I'll drop the other secret now. It's called Build Destroy because there are 8 songs on it.
Okay.
So there's 8 songs, a bonus track, and a couple of remixes, but the real proper track list is 8 songs.
8 songs.
8 songs.
I love
Build
it.
Destroy.
I love it.
Yeah.
So when are you starting the tour? When are you guys going to start touring for the Build and Destroy?
We've been touring already.
Okay.
I'm doing the thing where I'm touring off an album that I haven't even dropped yet. See, I started in I do not envy those people over there. Yeah, I just saw somebody pulled over by a Stady out on Pagashal. Ungood. Pray for them.
Pray for them.
Yeah.
So, do you have any shows coming up this week? What is your schedule like?
Tomorrow, actually, because that's why I'm on the way to drop some gear off, because I have a double header tomorrow. I have a show at 5 at I'm trying to remember the name of the venue. I think it's Ross Jones something in New Bedford. It's for 5 Pillars of Hip Hop that Third Eye puts on every month. And then after that, I'm headed over to the Underground Railroad Cafe because we're doing a jam session.
Yeah.
Starting at 8 p.m.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
I definitely want to come check you guys out before, it gets cold, because I really don't like the cold. But I can honestly say that you guys travel, you go play, you are everywhere. And that is a blessing in itself. So tell me, what would you say was one of your best performances that you could remember that was like a highlight of your career?
at this point, there are a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can definitely say among the performances that was most impactful for me, there's Gathering of Nations. I just have to put that one because that was my first show officially as a GroovaLotto in front of a massive
That was
crowd.
in Canada, right?
That one actually other direction, Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, that was in New Mexico. Okay.
Yeah,
I remember
Canada,
that one too.
Yeah, Canada, we did a couple of open mics while we were out there.
Okay.
Yeah. And those one of those open mics, I met this really talented singer actually named Chloe Doyon.
Oh, wow.
From Montreal. Let's see, there's that one. There was the Provincetown show that I was telling you about.
Yep.
Every show that I've done with Bars Over Bars in the past couple of years has been an amazing show to be a part of.
So tell me who runs Bars Over Bars, because I think I've heard of that, but...
Yeah, Bars Over Bars, it was founded by a rapper named Hero the MC.
Mm-hmm.
And they've started bringing more people on the team. So now one of the main people who I communicate with for Bars Over Bars stuff is J-Rem. He's from Woonsocket, Rhode Island. He's actually helping me put together my album show, and that's happening in a week and a half for the album. Okay.
So you have your stream, your Instagram streaming at the bottom, so people can find you there. Where else can they find you? I know, in regards to your branding is together. You know what I mean? Like, I know that you have your ducks in line. I know that people can put in the ZYG808 and everything is going to come up. But tell the people like where they can go to find your events and things like that you have.
Events, you check the ZYG808.com. You can also look at my Spotify. That has a list of all my upcoming events and shows that I'm going to be doing. Also, I didn't plug the TikTok yet. Check out the TikTok. Funny stuff on the TikTok. Want to laugh, want to learn, want to do both. Check out my TikTok. I'm not on Twitter, or I still have a Twitter, but I haven't used it in almost 2 years. I'm on Threads though, and
You're on Threads.
Yeah. Check me out on Facebook. Check me out on YouTube. That's where the music videos are. That's where the music is also. Bandcamp, the music is there too. That's if you want to support me directly. That's where the album's going to be out initially, is on Bandcamp.
Okay.
And let's see, plug the TikTok, plug the Bandcamp, plug the Spotify, plug the YouTube. If you're in the New Bedford area on September 21st, you want to come to the Underground Railroad Cafe. That's 213 Acushnet Avenue. The start time for the show is 9 p.m. That's when music starts. Okay.
Now it says musician, SB resident. Tell me what that is.
Oh, SB, that means Spank Bank. I was honestly just waiting long it would take for anybody to notice that.
Yes, I'm like, wait a minute, what does this say? Hold on. He has his caption.
Musician, SB resident, and Ahana Enan.
Ahana Enan.
Ahana Enan, that comes from the Wampanoag language. That means keeper of laughter, or laughter keeper is the literal translation.
It is.
Ahana means laughter. Enan is keeper. It's similar to the name I was given is Ahana Mas. That's my tribal name. Mas means bear. Laughing bear. That's what that is.
You are a tribal, real tribal affiliate as well, which I think, a native, heritage is so important because our people don't understand to have those roots to still have that connection. And you have that, but you're also a Freemason. I seen you get your Freemason. As well.
Have the journal.
So,
The shout out to Pops for this, by the way. This was a Christmas present. If we have any brothers watching that, I don't know where he got it. It was a gift.
It was a gift.
Yeah. It was literally last Christmas. We were, because my family has started doing this thing where during Christmas, the last 2 Christmases, we've just gone to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So last Christmas, we were in Quebec City. We were exchanging gifts. I opened this. I'm like, wait a minute. Yo! And it's in all my favorite colors.
Yeah.
In all my favorite colors, and it's got my name on it.
It does? Where?
Yeah. At the bottom it says ZYG808.
Oh my God!
Right
He's
there.
so awesome. He's so personable in that sense, you know, like that's the one thing. Even when I was in his theater class, like I still have my theater class t-shirt that we got at the end. And it had his signature, it had, you know, and it was just symbolic to who he is and, you know, the impression that he keeps on people. So
one story of how small the world actually is.
How?
I was doing a show last week. In fact, yeah, it was last week Friday. I was doing a show. It was actually the one I sent you the clips from in that random parking lot in Hyannis.
Mm-hmm.
I was selling CDs because I have CDs now of the album, pre-release copies. So I'm like, right now it currently only exists in the CD. So come here with $10. So this one person came up with $10, gave it to me. I got them their CD. Then they come back up to me. They're like, hey, so I looked at the back of your CD and you're with one of my old professors. I'm like, and then I knew exactly which song they were looking at because they're only like 2 songs on the album that he's featured on. But for giggles, I'm like, oh, which professor? They're like, Walim? I'm like, oh yeah, that's my dad. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my dad.
Like, dude, you can't tell he's a spitting image of him.
Some people are afraid to ask. Some people are afraid to ask and they're afraid to assume. And some people love to assume because everyone just come up to me and start talking to me. And it took about 10 minutes, right? Because they're saying all of these things, and as they're saying the things, I'm listening to them talking, and I'm just like, they don't realize who they're talking to. they have the wrong light-skinned redhead. Wrong one. No, you're not talking to J. Cole. No, you're not talking to Molly. You're talking to the other one.
That's so funny though. It's you are a light within itself, you know, and I think that you have grown into a great man and gonna be one of the greatest men, you know, on the planet. I think that, you know, the level that you're at 21, some artists never make it there, Zig. And I just, you know, appreciate the opportunity to give you your flowers and just for you to come back because you were on season 1 of Up North City Girls and Real Talk with TML. And, you know, again, at that point, I think you had just basically been nominated for the Grammys. How many Grammys was it? It was like 3 different categories, 4 different categories.
Well, for my project, it was 2 because my project 2 Grammy nominations. And then here's the thing with the GroovaLottos project. That one got 6 nominations, but it was across 2 different years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 2017, when the album first came out, it was up for 4. And then it ended up getting 2 more the following year. And the same year, the 2 of the tracks off of what would become Boom Bap Jazz got nominated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And boom bap jazz, I say this because now with the newer sounds and just dealing with the originators and people, we just had the real G-man of hip hop on. He actually was the man who was coined as being the person who created the word hip hop. And talking to some of the pioneers and the people that started in the late 70s to early 80s, creating this sound and this genre of music, and just seeing what it's manifested into, and being able to have that knowledge and foundation. Because one of the things that I loved that you did in your first project was you went to the Bronx, you went to Cedric
The
project, and
pioneer.
you actually got the culture. Like, that's important, because there's so many people out here making music that don't understand the foundation and how we are trying to build and how we're trying to grow. So tell me, what is one of the messages that you want to give to your fans tonight?
Well, I mean, before that, just got to give a quick shout out to my brother, because without him, I wouldn't have been able to find my way so effectively to 1520 Sedgwick.
Yeah, because you were born in New York too, right?
I was born in the Bronx, actually, Einstein Hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was born in Einstein Hospital. My mom and brother still live out there, actually. A couple weeks ago, I was out there visiting them, actually.
Do you go to any shows out there?
I haven't, actually. It's a funny thing. I'm like in New York kind of frequently, or I mean, it's been a little bit, but before a certain point, I was kind of in New York semi-frequently, but like most of what I was doing was like just seeing family, because it's kind of different. I don't know.
Right.
I want to perform out there, though.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's time. You know what I mean? You need to get out in that market and see what it's like. It's definitely the belly of the beast. It definitely makes or breaks you. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be ready, and you have to be, coming with your material, coming with your merch, coming being the superstar that you are. And I think that'll set the tone. Like I tell artists all the time, sometimes you have to go outside of your comfort zone. And you have to network and be, in rooms with different people and different artists. And I think it's time. I think you're ready. And, one of the shows that I remember that you did that was big was the Atlanta show. And going to Atlanta and being, out there performing. So I think you're very capable, of owning that.
So this will now bring me also to my message, because I got two big things that I want to say for artists. I mean, one is the building of the contact list is a very important thing. From what we were talking about earlier about branching out, getting outside, get a bunch of people to just work with, put stuff together with. Like, even as I'm starting to put that together now, I got to, give a shout out to some of my contacts. Like I said, J-Rem is one who I've been talking to a lot. And he's helping me put my album show together. And he's also coming to be a guest DJ and performer for the monthly dance party showcase that I host out at the Underground Railroad Cafe.
Okay. Now, is that your resident spot for right now, the Underground Railroad?
One of them.
One of them? Yeah. Okay. You have a few.
Yeah, that's the big one, really, because had residency at Gallery X for a while. Had a couple of artist residencies, actually. One was at Nauset High this past spring. That one was a teaching artist residency.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one where I was teaching lyric writing and performance. That's one of the curriculums that I've designed.
That is so dope, Zach. I mean, I'm just so amazed again at you and just the growth and just the level that you're at right now. And I am just ecstatic to see what the next 5 years brings, because I think, you know, after seeing this last project and now looking forward to the next Build and Destroy, and I think that's important to understand, you know, because in order to build, you have to destroy. So destroying, you know, the previous version of yourself and now opening up to the new version of yourself is what I think we're seeing now. And like you said, the confidence and just all those things play a part in who you're becoming. And it's amazing. It's a blessing to see it and witness it. And one of the things that came up in my memory a couple of weeks ago when, you know, I was planning and getting everything together was you at probably like 8 years old playing the drums. And your dad then took that and put the side by side of you from then to now. And it was just, again, amazing.
I always make sure that I let people know that that was my start whenever I'm asked about music or how I got my start in music or how long I've been doing what I do or what I play. Because what I'll always do is just run down the list. I'm like, yeah, I started on drums. Then actually the next thing that came was rapping. I started rapping when I was like young teenager, basically.
And
just like, here's how the progression went for me. First actually came drumming, then rapping, then singing, then everything else.
Yeah. It is true.
Yeah.
And that's so true. I witnessed it again because I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to pull off the TikTok, you know, like if you were going to be able to be theatrical, if you were going to be able to be engaging. Again, because it was a hard, you know, some artists are great artists, but they're not great entertainers. And I think that's the part where I know with you, I can put you on a stage, I can put you in front of people, and you are going to entertain. And I think that's the biggest part of this industry now to be successful is not to just be, you know, one thing that we talked about is being multidimensional. With the G-Man of hip hop, he basically said, you know, telling artists you have to be multidimensional. You have to be able to, you know, jump in and put on your rapper's hat and put on your actor's hat, and you know, because this is I don't want to say a gimmick, but it's a character. It's a person that you're creating for the public. And how do you adjust? How do you, you know, not lose yourself in that? I want to ask.
Well,
sometimes it's hard,
for me,
you know, being the Zig, the artist,
it's a game of
the person.
Well, for me, it's a game of just amplifying very specific parts of my personality that are already there. You know what I mean? Because a lot of Zig the artist is basically in a lot of cases it's kind of just a cartoonified Zig the person.
Right.
Or an extra cartoonified Zig the person, and like just add dash more mystical shit, I guess, is the best way to describe it. I mean, especially like more recently, as of late, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you look at even how I'm looking in the projectile video.
Right.
That's a wizard outfit if I've ever seen it. You know what I'm saying?
But you had a persona. You had this, you know, this persona that was just like, I was like, okay, Zig, God, like, again, I'm looking at you like a baby. I wasn't looking at you as a man, you know? And for the things that you were saying, I'm like, okay, he has my attention, you know? Because, again, I think it's the delivery. I think it's the way you know, articulate your words that what's grasped to, you know, people to you, and you're learning and you've developed how to do that. So kudos to you for that.
Those diction exercises that grandma had me doing paid off. See, yeah, because grandma grandma used to sing opera. Actually, that was her thing.
Yeah.
So that's part of. So she's generation number 2 of the musical family, right?
Yeah.
So when I was first starting to rap, what grandma would do whenever I'd go to visit her was, there were 2 very specific things. There was breathing exercises where I would lay flat on my back, place a book on my belly, and the object of the exercise is to raise the book. The other exercise was tongue twisters, and that was for diction.
You had some great teachers. I can honestly say that was, and this is a product of that. You are a product of great teachers, and it's just amazing to see it.
That's what I always am grateful for.
Yeah.
Is that I had guidance. That's also like I was able to thankfully avoid a bunch of stuff because of the fact that I had guidance in a lot of aspects.
Yeah.
So it's like, even when I'm going through stuff that's basically like a canon event for any musician, I still have a better support system around me talking about, okay, this is how you navigate.
That's right. And your dad was a great, person in regards to navigating and just guiding people. And it's just showing proof, through you and me.
Another shout out we got to give is Chuck.
Yeah.
Chuck V, aka Alphonse 3.
Yes, Chuck.
Another mentor. He and I started working together when I was like 16 going on 17. He taught me about audio engineering stuff. He taught me how to mix and master and stuff like that.
Yeah. So you guys do all that. And that's something that we want to plug to is the studio and, just things that artists can come to you guys for. So tell me about that. What are you guys doing right now? Because I know it was like voiceovers and, just different things.
That's one of the things that we've been working on. One of the big projects we just finished was this artist named Kevin Powell. He's doing a spoken word album, and he came to us to mix it and master it for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's dope.
Yeah.
Anything else that you want to say? I know that what was my other thing? My other thing is, what is the best advice that you've been given? That's my last question in the industry.
Best advice I've been given. Well, let's see. There's the gem that I drop at the start of Projectile, and I actually got that from my dad. My dad told me the full thing is there are 3 types of people in the music industry, and in the end, only one ends up winning at the end. Because that's what I'm talking about. There's 3 types in the music business: the pimps, hoes, and hustlers. The hustlers are the ones that win. That's what Pops would tell me pretty much every day. I mean, especially since like when I was 15, that was the first time he told me that. But that one was a thing that became just a constant lesson. It's like, there's the pimps and hoes. You don't want to be either of them. Hustlers are the ones that really win.
Yeah, because a hustler's gonna do what it takes. They know how to get dirty. They know how to, get it out the mud. Like, and you are independent. You know what I mean? You're not relying on anyone to take care of you or to carry you. And I think that's important to understand in this business as an artist, because I get a lot of artists who think like everything's for free and, like, no, it don't work like that. If you really believe in yourself, you will invest in yourself. And I've seen you do that. You know what I'm saying? So that's important because I think, people think that, you're just because you're talented, people are just supposed to, buy your album and do these things. And it's like, yeah, but if you're not investing in yourself, if you're not putting out merch and material and you don't have your stuff packaged, which is, the biggest thing in this business right now is packaging. And, just being able to have a place where people can go and buy your music, or, you know, you're putting your music in position to be bought. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't even do that, or to be seen in the right way, because they'll release a song and they'll put the whole song out there and they're not getting paid on these platforms that they're putting it on. So when you said Bandcamp, like that for me is like, listen, he already knows. Like, this is where you know that you have to have these people gravitate here in order for you to get the credit that you deserve and that you earned.
Yeah.
And then,
especially Bandcamp, because here's the thing about Bandcamp. Bandcamp isn't like these other streaming services where they give you half a penny for a stream. Because here's the thing that I found out: one T-shirt sale for like $20 is apparently the equivalent of 5,000 streams on Spotify. Like there was a band who was charging $20 for T-shirts. They're like, yo, one T-shirt is the equivalent of 5,000 streams that we can get on Spotify.
Right.
Help us out, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like, people don't understand the merch game. They don't understand. Like, I still see artists to this day that don't do any marketing and merch, you know, and that's where I'm like, listen, this is where you make your money. This is where you make back on your investment, but you're also now able to invest more into your craft. And you have to be a hustler. You have to be strategic. And I think that's where artists fail, you know, the most, is they don't have any leverage when they're now being presented with deals and, you know, things like that. And I think that's your catalog and your journey and just your, you know, is going to speak for itself. It's like, listen, you're not going into a record label without a multi-million-dollar deal. You know what I'm saying? And that's just because of the foundation that you're building right now. So kudos to you. Anything you want to say? Any last comments? Anything that you have coming up that you want to tell us about?
Let's see. I plugged the big thing, which was the album show.
Yeah.
That, like I said, that's the 21st. Like I said, check the website and check the Spotify for updates on events. Also, Bands in Town is a good place to look to find out what I'm doing. And yeah, check Bandcamp for the album September 21st.
Yeah. Are you still on the radio? You still have a radio show?
It's been a while. I gotta get back to it. Tour's kind of taking me out of the radio.
Okay. Yeah, because you've been on the go all summer. So I wasn't sure. I was like, I don't know if you've been, you know, still promoting that. But yeah, I know that was something that was big during COVID, especially.
Yeah, during COVID and also around when I first started college, I was doing. And still, shout out WOMR, because they've given me some really good opportunities and put me in front of some really cool people and connected me with some cool people too. So shout out to that station, WOMR, Provincetown.
Yeah, Provincetown.
Yup.
All right.
Shout out the label Polygroove Records also.
Yes, the label.
That's the other big one. Yeah, the label Polygroove Records. Shout out Oversoul Theater Collective. Again, shout out to Bars Lover Bars. Shout out Walim. Shout out Womptronica. Shout out the GroovaLottos. Shout out Shadow Man, Ruben Walton, Asa Peters, Future Active. That's all the crew. Also, shout out JC House. He's gonna be hopping on tour with me for the rest of this year, and actually starting on the new year also.
Okay. You definitely got to keep me in the loop.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you. I want you to come back next season, update us. Well, actually, you're going to be coming back, I believe, in October or November with the Womptronics or the GroovaLottos. I'm not sure. I think I have an interview with the Womptronics or...
Oh, Womptronica, okay.
Yep.
So that'll be me and Walim most likely, and possibly Future Active too. It's a bunch of us in Womptronica.
Okay.
So 30 of us.
30?
Actually, isn't that not 30 yet, but it's gonna get there soon, because it's basically in Womptronica. It's right now is me, Pops, Asa, Future Active, Ruben, Corey, Phil, Chuck, and Pete. So yeah, so that's almost 10 that we got.
That's dope. That's dope. Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure. You have a great night. Drive safe.
Appreciate you.
Yes.
Back at you. And back
Yes.
at you.
You have a great one today.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi. All right, guys, we wrapping it up. Real Talk with TML. That was the ZYG808. Y'all can find him at his Instagram, strolling at the bottom. I am excited. We have some great artists, that are on season 4 of Real Talk with TML. And I'm just excited again. It was a blessing to have this interview tonight because, again, he was one of the first artists that I interviewed. And just seeing him grow and manifest all the things that he envisioned for himself 4 years ago is a blessing. So I'm excited. Okay. And you guys stay tuned and have a good night.
ZYG or the GOAT. ZYG808. Yeah. There's 3 types in the music business: pimps, hoes, and hustlers. And it's pretty easy telling one from the other. Boy, you not a pimp, and you definitely not no hustler. Since you know where you stand, you should understand why I'm using your ass as a projectile. You say you
Real, my MC tradition strings back to the griots. Follow my story, you'll know the deal. Dropping knowledge on shit, you go higher. It's been a while since I ate a freestyle and a pan.